I want to talk about gas regulators. Up to the end of 2003, the tradition was that the owner had to buy a regulator, either one for butane gas or one for propane. This is a propane cylinder, and whereas that would fit on there, this one wouldn't. The difficulty was that every time you had a different cylinder, perhaps when you went to France or Germany or wherever, or even in this country, there were different couplings. So you ended up, as you changed from butane to propane or whatever, with an awful lot of regulators. So somebody said, okay, wouldn't it be far better to dispense with that idea and to put a regulator on the wall of the gas locker, as it is here? Yes, that sounds very sensible. It's all now part of the system. It's there when you buy the Caravan, so you don't have to muck about with these. The only difference is, of course, this is now regulating the gas, the high pressure gas, sometime after it's left the cylinder. And that means that you can't just couple up one of these yourself with a clip and a screwdriver. You must get a coupling hose that's crimped up in the factory. But it's a lot less expensive to buy a series of these with different ends to suit all the cylinders that you might end up using. So let's now go into our little classroom to study something, because there were some problems that arose that were never expected. In the Caravan we just looked at, it was this type of regulator with that distinctive colour. Now on some Caravans there'd be that type of regulator. If you own an Avondale, for example, these were used and were very often fitted on the top of the gas locker container. So where was this strange problem? Well, what happened is, in some instances, and this affects anybody who's bought a Caravan since 2003, there'd be a gas blockage. Maybe it would be in a heater, and you'd suddenly find in the depths of winter your heater wouldn't work. Or maybe the hob was giving problems. What on earth was causing this? Well, the blockage seemed to be caused by an oily liquid that was moving through the pipes and would sometimes get stuck in the regulator and upset its diaphragm that controls the flow of gas. It really threw people. Laboratories couldn't recreate the system, but they could get the oily liquid and analyse it. And when they analysed it, they found that it was containing a plasticizer just like the one that's put in these flexible pipes to make them flexible. Then someone realised that perhaps indeed, with the high pressure gas coming through here into the regulator from the cylinder, it looked as if condensation was forming in there. Condensation that drew out the plasticizer, and it made what was described as an oily liquid. If it upset the way that these worked, in some cases it passed through the regulator and actually into the appliance and blocked up some of the jets or some of the gas components. What on earth could be done to solve this? Well, one thing they thought was perhaps if we raised the height of this on the wall or on the ceiling, if there is a condensation forming in here, it'll run back into the cylinder. Perhaps that wasn't always possible, so what they also did, if this was fitted, they would actually put an extension piece on the top to raise this effectively, and again to create the down slope that was needed. I haven't got one of the U-bends that they fitted, but it would go on the top of there, and you can see how that then goes back down to the cylinder. There were still a few sceptics, and there still are to this day, because blockages haven't gone away overnight. One thing was to dispense with this altogether and to fit one of these, which may look as if it's a rubberized kind of hose, but is actually metal. Now, if you doubt me, let me show you another one. There it is, without the plastic on top of the braid. And inside, a lot of people thought that it would be a rubber one, a rubber inner, but no, it's a convoluted stainless steel pipe. Quite costly, but warranted for 20 years. Lastly, a recent addition to the gas components is a filter. And this type of filter is fitted in the line, in the supply line, and if there is an oily substance still appearing, it would go into this, drop down to the bottom, and you can see its accumulation in small holes just around the bottom. Now, it wouldn't always work because filters get clogged up, and so by removing this, you can then see the filter itself. and this is simply removed as well and changed as is necessary. Your dealer could fit one of these if you go through all the other processes and still get gas blockages, but it does look as if all is well now. So be aware that if you do have a Caravan that was built after 2003, gas blockages have occurred, but most of the problems are sorted out now with the kind of provisions that I've been describing.